Yo, Counter Attack podcast with myself, Daps. Guys, make sure you keep liking, subscribing, sharing. Obviously, when you see this, just click the like button, get them algorithms going, and I'm back for another one. So, I don't know what's been happening since the last time we spoke. I'm just thought, let me give you, another video this week. I was meant to do one earlier on this week, but I've been away, so sorry about that, guys. But yeah, I keep saying it, but some exciting things happening, and you know what? From now on, I'm just gonna stop saying it and just do what I used to do and just drop a video. So that's what I'm gonna do from now on. I just drop the video. So, I'm just gonna go straight into it. So obviously, guys, it's been Champions League week, and right now, as I'm talking, West Ham are playing, and it's 1-0 to AZ Alkmaar. But anyway, so. Where shall I start? Champions League week, and obviously the biggest game was Man City versus Real Madrid, or Real Madrid versus Man City. Obviously, it was at Bernabeu. And going into this game, I think most people were drawn, they were torn between both teams, obviously, because they're both top teams. Where we know the better footballing team right now in the world, I reckon. And the most dominant team in the world is Man City. Like, they are just, from back to front, they are just a complete team right now. But everyone knows that Real Madrid just have know-how of the tournament. They just know how to stay in games. They just know how to just do what's necessary to win. And as I was watching the game, what I did notice was that it was a very high-level game. So I'm watching the game and I'm like, this game here is like, in terms of the tactical back and forth between both managers, in terms of the speed at certain points in the game, in terms of the control that each team was trying to have in the game, it was really, really high level. And if you was really watching it, as a neutral and watching it in that detail, you would just, all you can do is just hold up your hands when you see things like that. And me personally, I honestly believe that over the course of the game, I think it was a fair result. I think Man City did well especially in that first half. They had spells where they were just controlling the game, creating a couple chances here and there, especially in that first half, where it looked like typical Man City, dominate the game, create chances, don't really give anything away. And it just looked like that's how it was going to go. But it's so funny. Whereas before, when this was happening to Real Madrid, so I remember last year in the Champions League, it happened a couple of times. Even against Liverpool earlier in the season, it happened a couple of times, where you're thinking to yourself, they're just going to, maybe it's finally over for this team. Maybe it's finally over for them. But I think this is the first time, even when we were watching with Man City controlling the game, I think the general consensus for the first time that I've seen anyway, in regards to across the board, was that it's Real Madrid. So you just never know, because we all know that they have the potential to come back into a game or whatever, but it never comes out during the actual game. You never actually feel that way during the actual game in regards to everyone else. But I look at it and I'm looking at the talent across the pitch, and I think very early on, I could see who was going to have a good game. And before I even get into Vinicius, because we can talk about Vinicius, we can talk about Benzema, who didn't have the greatest game. We can talk about Modric, who at 37 years old is actually just, it's almost like he's getting better. You would think at that age, you start to plateau a bit, you start to go on a decline a bit, and he just impacts games on the greatest scale. Like, you got younger players in and around him who are not doing what he's doing, who cannot do what he's doing, and I think that's testament to him. I think it shows that even at his age, Madrid do not want to leave him out for the big games. On the weekend, he came on as a sub against Osasuna, I think it was, that they played in the final of the Copa del Rey, and you can see that they needed him to get some minutes after coming back from injury. So he's such a good player. But the player I really do want to point out is Camavinga. I think Camavinga, as old as he is, let me see how old he is. Camavinga is uh Camavinga is 20 years old. Camavinga is 20 years old, and he's been played in left back position, a position that he didn't grow up playing. He didn't come through the ranks, playing left back. He didn't play a couple games there where they know he could do a job there. But Ancelotti saw that. I think when you have players like Camavinga who just know football, they're just ball players. You can literally put them in any position and they will excel. You give them a job to do and they will do it. And Camavinga is that guy. Camavinga is that guy where if you tell him to go and play number 10, he would do a job there. He might not be the best number 10 in the world, no, but he will do a job. You tell him to go left wing, I truly believe he will do a job there too. And I think what he showed during the match, especially in the build up to Vinicius' goal, in regards to that quick give and go, bang, bang, bang. He kept driving. And I forgot what player it was that was actually chasing him, but they couldn't keep up with him. Who was it? I forgot what player it was anyway, but they couldn't keep up with him, and it might have been Bernardo Silva actually. But yeah, anyway, no matter. They couldn't keep up with him, and in the end, he then goes and sets up Vinicius, who just rifled it home, and he is a proper baller. And I think, to be honest, I think he ends up playing left back because Ancelotti sees the quality he has and sees that he's maybe not ready yet to go in and displace Cruz, Modric, Valverde. Do you know what I'm saying? He maybe can't go in and do that, but he needs to play because he's that good. And then you switch Alaba into centre back and whatnot. But yeah, honourable shout out to him, and I think he had a very, very good game. I think he's been one of the most consistent performers over the season. I think that when you look at the amount of games he's played, it shows the amount of trust that the manager has in him. And Ancelotti ain't no bum. Ancelotti this ain't the first time he's been in these positions. So for him to continue to play him, it just goes to show how good he is. And honestly, I think Real Madrid have got a player there for the next 10, 12 years, if they want him, that is, because he is that good. And then you look at the fact that they can bring off Chalmani, they can bring Chalmani off the bench as well. And, then it's like, oh, they might get Bellingham, but I don't know. Apparently Bellingham scored the other day and he said, I'm staying here. So I don't know what he said. But yeah, Real Madrid have such good players, and Vinicius Jr. right now, he is unstoppable. He is unplayable. Like, it don't matter how close, how tight you get to him. It don't matter if you want to stand off him. He is impacting games all the time, and he is the top winger in the world. Bar Mbappe, Vinicius Jr. is the top winger in the world, and you can't talk down on him anymore, innit? Like, I don't know what else there is to do, but at the highest level, and I think he's only 22 or something like that. At the highest level in the Champions League, he's persistently. Let me just see this chance. Sorry, at the highest level in the Champions League, he's consistently delivering. He's consistently, outperforming others who you would think, have the experience and more know-how at that level to do better. And he's just really, really good. And, again, we keep talking about how Real Madrid have know-how, but when you have quality like they have the quality, it's not like Chelsea, where Chelsea have players, but when the going gets tough, as we're seeing, Chelsea don't really have like a default know-how to just get through it all, because it's just a bunch of players that have just been chucked in together. Whereas Real Madrid, no matter how many times you introduce a new player, that DNA of Real Madrid will always exist in that club. And it's like they all buy into it and they've all got the quality to execute that DNA. So, yeah. But then I say that, and then equally Man City have Kevin De Bruyne. And this is a public service announcement to anyone that ever doubts Kevin De Bruyne, because I see it all the time over the years that Kevin De Bruyne doesn't show up in big games. Kevin De Bruyne ain't that guy, and blah, 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 blah. And over the years, I'm always saying, how can you possibly say that? And it's annoying because you go and you see You go and you see him in Champions League, bang a goal like he did the other day, and suddenly it's like, oh, is he better than Gerrard? And all of these things. But people over the years have spoken down on him like way too easily. And Kevin De Bruyne is a big game player. He is a player that walks into any team in the world. He's a player that when your back is against the wall, when you need something, he will bury you. I mean, he will get you out. And yeah, the second leg is so like it's set up to be an absolute cracker, and I honestly cannot wait for that game. And hopefully, do you know what? I want City to lose this weekend, obviously, thinking that they've got the eye on the Champions League. And if they do that, then I want them to get through to the final so they can hopefully lose again. And then, and in terms of the league, and Arsenal find a way in. So, but away from that, I want Real Madrid to win. But you know what? I wouldn't mind City. The only reason I don't want City to win the Champions League because Arsenal has never won Champions League. That's literally it. Outside of that, I actually want Pep to win the Champions League because I think too many times people talk down on Pep because he hasn't won that Champions League, and that's not right. So I think it allows people an easy way to just talk bad about him and talk about, you got all this money, you can't deliver in the Champions League and blah, 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 blah. Like, if ever you want to say anything about Pep, you just go for the Champions League. He's never won it and he's a failure. Whereas for me, even if he never wins the Champions League, he will go down as one of the greatest managers that we have seen. But for me to say that, people are always going to have the argument of, no, but he hasn't won Champions League. And so for me, I want him to win just in terms of football. Forget who I support or whatever. Just in terms of football and out of love and respect for what he's done in the game and for what he stands for in the game, I want him to win that Champions League. Again, if we're talking about Man City players, I also have to talk about Ruben Diaz. Ruben Diaz made one clearance in that first half year, and even throughout the game, he just looks so steady, man. And he is a top defender. I'm thinking off the top of my head, is he the best in the league? Probably the best in the league. And again, he's another centre back. He might even be right. I might be going mad here, but Ruben Diaz. When I think about centre backs, off the top of my head, he might even be the best in the world. And this is off the top of my head. So if I'm going mad and Ruben Diaz is not, okay, let's say this again. So in the world, off the top of my head, and this is without me really thinking about it, is Ruben Diaz the best centre back in the league? I mean, best centre back in the world, because I struggle to see a centre back who performs at such a high level like he does, and does it as consistent as he does. And yeah, just let me know who you guys think is the best. I'm talking about currently. I'm not talking about like over the course of the last 5 years, or just currently right now. If you had to think of a centre back, who would you say is the best in the world? He's definitely best in the Premier League. But what I don't want to do is just say the world and then I'm forgetting about centre backs I might be in France or what do you call it, Spain or Italy or whatever. So you guys just let me know who you guys think is the best. So what else do I want to say? No, I think that's it. I don't know who wins that second leg. I've already said my piece. Guys, let me know who you think will win that second leg and who you think who you think deserve to win, how you think Madrid played. Oh my gosh, Rudiger and Haaland. Again, Haaland actually had what? 2 kind of half chances during that game? No, one was a big chance, the other one was a half chance. And it's funny because Rudiger played well against him, 100%. But people forget Haaland had those chances, and just had one of them gone in, the whole dynamic of how he played would have changed. And throughout the match, he was kept quiet. But this ain't the first time we've seen Haaland kept quiet. I remember there was one where Dortmund, earlier in the season, Dortmund tried to, they said that Dortmund kept him quiet, and he was just like, no, but I scored. And instantly just changed the whole dynamic of the conversation, the whole narrative of how he performs. And I don't think Haaland performed badly. I think Rudiger did well against him, but equally, Haaland thrives on chances, and especially the one in the first half that he missed. If that goes in, it's a different conversation. So it just goes to show how quickly people are able to flip flap between a good game and bad game in their minds. So yeah, big him up all the time. But yeah, Rudiger did well against him, and people said he had him in his pocket. Not quite sure about that, but we move. Okay. Oh, yeah. So I was saying that the winner of that game probably wins the Champions League, and the winner of that game is looking like, after yesterday, is looking like they're going to play Inter Milan, and Inter Milan absolutely came out the blocks against AC. And obviously Dzeko scored, 37-year-old Dzeko, 35-year-old Mkhitaryan. After the first 11 minutes, they're 2-0 up. And I saw online and what people were saying about Tomori, because he didn't have the greatest game. I don't think he had the worst game, but it definitely weren't the greatest game. In fact, no, it was bad. It was bad. But I also think if anyone's watching that game, they would have been able to see that there was no protection for them. Inter Milan were running through that midfield at will, and it was attack after attack after attack after attack, and it wasn't fair. I think Tomori tried. It's definitely the worst I've seen him. But all of a sudden, people were like, "Oh, Southgate was right about Tomori, and this is why Chelsea get rid of him, and this is what he's been doing in Italy." It's not what he's been doing in Italy. He's been very good in Italy, and we can't ever talk about this is why Southgate doesn't play him, because at the end of the day, I've seen enough of Tomori in Italy to know that he's been better than Cody, who's always in the squad. He's been better than Dyer, who's always in the squad. He's been better than Maguire. But suddenly he has one bad game, and all of a sudden it's just like, yeah, this is what Tomori's been doing. And no, he just had a bad game. That's it. But he wasn't helped by the fact that the midfield were missing. They were missing. They were just gone. So Inter Milan were able to just play as they want, right down their necks. And it's going to be interesting. I think Rafael Leao probably would not have made a difference. I think, to be fair, actually, he would have given them an outlet. 100% he would have given them that outlet. But I think for the most part, because of how open that midfield was, Inter Milan would have still done what they did. And it should have been more. That penalty that got overturned, it was definitely a penalty. 100% it was a penalty. And I don't understand why they overturned it, because it wasn't a clear and obvious error. Even after watching the replay, you can see that, yeah, no, it's a penalty. So that should have been given. And yeah, I don't think whoever gets to the final out of them two beats either Real Madrid or Man City. The winner of the Champions League is going to come from that game, the Man City Real Madrid game. So we're just going to see how that one goes. And yeah, and that's kind of it though. But I'm going to do quick Premier League stuff. So, and talk about, because obviously I've not done a podcast since Arsenal beat Newcastle. But what I wanted to say is that it was a great performance. I think Odegaard getting 15 goals this season and 7 assists in the league is outrageous. And I knew he'd been scoring goals, but when he scored against Newcastle and it said 15th Premier League goal of the season, that is a ridiculous return for a midfielder, for a number 10. And I think that obviously now that City are going to win the league, it's looking like, I don't want what he's done this season to go under the radar, because in a moment where we've been down a lot in the season, he has bailed us out with his performances. He has led by example. He has been a total captain, different kind of captain to maybe Xhaka, who barks orders out. He has led by example and led from the front. And you just got to hold your hands up and just be like, do you know what? He's been ridiculously good this season. And I want to do a big shout out to Jorginho as well, who controlled that midfield. And he brought a real calming influence to the game. He brought experience and know-how to the game. And I found it so funny that they were complaining about how much we slowed the game down. But against us at the Emirates, they did the exact same thing in a worse way. That honestly, what they were doing, and do you know what? It's just very cheeky that they will complain when they were so blatant with it as well. So, it serves them right. It was a great performance from Arsenal, and it's annoying because the results against more so West Ham and Southampton are going to come back and bite us in the arse. And those are going to be the games why we did not win the league. Not the loss at Man City, not the drop points at I think West Ham just got a penalty. Yeah, not the drop points at what do you call that place? Anfield, but that game against Southampton and the game against West Ham. So, credit to Arsenal for beating Newcastle, and we're just going to see who gets that top four, and Liverpool are chasing for that top four. They're really, really going for it, and I'm not going to lie to you, if they manage to somehow get top four, because it's looking like Man United and Man United and Newcastle are giving them a chance. Do you know what I'm saying? So right now it's no Man United more so. Yeah, or Newcastle, because they lost as well, are giving Liverpool a chance of getting that spot. So if they do turn it around, you just got to give credit to Jurgen Klopp, because at one point they were really down and out. At one point, I think they were in the bottom half of the table. But like I said, credit where credit is due, and credit where credit is due to them. And on Liverpool, though, I do also want to say that all those people that were writing off Cody Gakpo, I know there's still a few people that talk down on him. Cody Gakpo is going to have an absolute great season next season. I'm saying that now. I think between, you can see he's doing well, and you can say West Ham got a penalty. You can see he's doing well. You can see that he's getting confidence, and I truly believe once he gets that pre-season under his belt, it's going to be a madness. That, and then you've got Luis Diaz going to come back. A front three of him, Luis Diaz, and Salah is going to be good. So I'm just looking at this penalty, this West Ham penalty. Ben Rama's about to take it. I wonder if he's going to score. Come on. I'm recording. Let's go. He's about to take it. Oh, goal. Right, good penalty. 1-1. So, with that being said, I think that's all I've got today. Very quickly, Lampard. You see if Lampard gets another job because of what it's like with these managers always managing to find a job and whatever. All I'm going to say is if Lampard finds another job anytime soon, you just know the game's rigged. Because I honestly believe he will and should be struggling for another job. And that's just on that, because what we've seen from him at Chelsea is just absolutely ridiculous. So if he does manage to go out and find another job and a top job at that, just know the game is rigged. Yeah. And last thing I will say as well is Messi is apparently going to Saudi Arabia. I just want to know if the energy that Ronaldo got for going to Saudi Arabia at 38 and taking the money that he's got, I just want to know if that same energy is going to be given to Messi. Ultimately, I don't care, but what I do care about is the way that Ronaldo was treated when he took that move at the age of 38. And Messi being 3 years younger than Ronaldo, if he now goes to Saudi Arabia for X amount of money, are we still going to give the same energy? That's all I'm saying anyway. I just want to know. So, that's it from me. Guys, let me know what you think in the comments. Also, someone asked me a question online, about Callum Hudson-Odoi, the forgotten man. And they were saying, do you think there's a way back for him? Not even just at Chelsea, just in general. And what I will say about Callum Hudson-Odoi is that you don't lose quality overnight. So I truly do believe that if Callum Hudson-Odoi gets a good season, a good pre-season under his belt, and then decides for himself that he's going to knuckle down and crack on and really push forward with his football, I honestly believe that top player that had so much potential, we will see. And that doesn't have to be at Chelsea. I actually don't think Chelsea suits him. I would understand why he would want to stay at Chelsea. But for me personally, I think he should go and make his name outside of Chelsea. I think he needs to go and play football in a team that complements him. Chelsea don't complement him. Chelsea also, in my opinion, don't really value him, more so because he's come through the system. And do you know what? He might look at it himself and be like, I maybe haven't been as serious, or I maybe need to take some blame for how things have gone for me over the last year or so. And that's fair enough. But there's a top player in there, and I honestly do think that we will see that. I don't want it to be a thing where he just goes under the radar and fizzles out. I think there's too much quality there. So to the person that asked me the question about Callum Hudson-Odoi, I think there's still a player in there. I think we're very quickly going to forget about what his last season or so has been like, and we're going to quickly remember how good he is when he actually gets a good pre-season and comes back with that in his head of, I'm just going to go and kill it, because he's a very, very good player. So, yeah, big up whoever asked me that question. And, yeah, that's it from me, guys. So let me know what you think. Shout out.